So you end up going to general practitioners who have no training in this at all. And there are complications in this care. It's not just a one-size-fits-all care. And so it's much easier for them to say, I don't have a solution for you, than to understand all the options. And that's really what's happened, is that we have an entire generation of physicians who have not been trained in taking care of women with perimenopause and menopause.
Welcome, Joanna Strober, founder and CEO of Midi. We are so excited to have you here today. This has been the highlight of my day, my week. So before we get started, why don't we just have you kick us off with telling us about Midi?
Yeah. So Midi is a company that we founded around 2 years ago, and Midi is a midlife care platform for women. So we are the healthcare experts, really, in all the things that women go through between the ages of 40 and 65, and, somewhat younger and sometimes older. But essentially, we are the platform that women come to get really high quality expert care during that age category. And there's a focus on perimenopause and menopause, but we're much broader than that. We're really a healthcare platform for women in that age category.
Well, it has been just a conundrum for me for a long time how menopause has been overlooked for so long, because 51% of the population is female. 100% of those are guaranteed to go through perimenopause or menopause. So what took us so long to sit up and pay attention?
So, a lot of this is just economics. So baby delivering, many doctors who are OBGYNs, who are really the expert in this, get most of their money from baby delivering. And also most of the training in medical school is regarding taking care of babies and delivering babies. So what that really means is that the only people who are real experts in women's health, who are OBGYNs, are not focused on taking care of this age category. So essentially what happens, we as women, after we have children, are often even fired by our OBGYNs. This is not what their practice is about. So you end up going to general practitioners who have no training in this at all. And there are complications in this care. It's not just a one-size-fits-all care. And so it's much easier for them to say, I don't have a solution for you, than to understand all the options. And that's really what's happened, is that we have an entire generation of physicians who have not been trained in taking care of women with perimenopause and menopause. And so they just don't. And instead, we're left with a lot of misinformation out there about what works and what doesn't work. And we're left with the consumer products that don't actually help us, but they're good at marketing to us. And we're left with just a very big care gap of women in this age category that don't get good, high quality care.
Amen. I had that experience going through this. I would talk to every GP that I had, every GYN appointment I had for 4 years, and just ask about, set my expectations. And I got unsatisfactory answers time after time after time. That's why I was so excited to finally meet you and the Midi team around this.
The thing for me is that I didn't even know it was related to perimenopause. I wasn't even asking my doctors. So when I stopped sleeping and I was waking up every single night at, 3 a.m. and unable to go back to sleep, and my mind was racing, I thought it was a problem with me. I didn't understand that there was a relation to my hormones, that I should be asking doctors about it, that perimenopause even existed. And I'm pretty educated. It's just not what I was thinking about. So, it took years before I went to a doctor who said, oh, well, this is just perimenopause, and got me on the right medications. But I had years of unnecessary suffering before that happened.
So let's unpack that a little bit more, because I think a lot of you being a repeat founder, you bring a lot of experience to the table. Personal experiences, and lived experiences is often where the best ideas come from. So can you expand a little bit on how you and the team actually got together, how you found each other and decided that now was the moment, now is the time?
Yeah, so I joke that this company was birthed from COVID. I was actually working at Weight Watchers and doing a lot of research for them on the new weight loss medications that were coming out, and also on the changing telemedicine laws, and had this realization that, wow, the world really is changing, because now for the first time, telehealth visits would be covered by insurance. and you could create a national telehealth practice. But I wasn't going to do that and wait again. And so the opportunity was, wow, like what else could you use this for? And at the same time, I was really going through these symptoms. This was very real to me. And I was trying to figure out how to get my hormones. I found an online company doctor who did it for me. And I was like, wow, this needs to be easier. So it was really this confluence of all of that happened. My co-founder and I, Sharon Mears, had written a book together in 2008. And we'd always wanted to do something together again. And we were potting basically during the beginning of COVID. And this became our fixation, was how we were going to fix menopause. And so we just started interviewing everyone that we knew about what their symptoms were. And we put together this list of 150 interviews of all the women that we talked to, because we had, a lot of free time on our hands while we were sitting in our houses. And so the company actually was really born from that and from that research that we were doing during that period of time.
That's an incredible arc, because everybody sitting at home during the time of COVID wasn't always, there's lots going on, lots of panic, lots of unrest, lots of unknowns. And yet here you are coming and solving an unknown in some ways, or what felt like an unknown to those of us who are going through that experience. So we've talked about want to pull on that thread a little bit. We've talked about how huge of a market opportunity this is. Every woman is guaranteed, reaching a certain age, to actually experience some of these symptoms. And you mentioned telehealth. So what is the offering? How are you tackling the market? What's the offering to women?
So the first thing we did, we spent about a year putting together care protocols, which is really important. These symptoms that you have, there's a lot of symptoms of menopause. By some count, 60. It is not, we think menopause, we think hot flashes or night sweats, but the truth is it's anxiety, it's vertigo, it's depression, it's bone issues, it's joint issues, it is tingly fingers. I mean, the list of symptoms goes on and on and on. Our hair starts to get thin, our face starts to not look as good. The symptoms go on. Weight gain, women come to us all the time. They've gained weight. Their bodies are changing. They're not eating anything differently. They're not exercising differently, and their bodies are changing. So there's a lot of symptoms. So what we did was we went out to the experts. So we talked to experts around the world, actually, not even just in the United States. And we said, okay, you're a bone expert. You're a brain health expert. You're an Alzheimer's expert. You're a joint expert. What would you do if a woman in this age category came to you? And we wrote protocols. And we worked with a professor at UCSF, Dr. Mindy Goldman, and Mindy's expertise is she's both an OBGYN, but she's also an expert in taking care of women who have cancer and menopause. The reason that's really important is that those are the women who cannot take hormones. So it's a very small part of the population that can't take hormones. And we wanted to make sure that we had the hormone protocols and the non-hormone protocols for every one of those symptoms. So we basically created these protocols, and then we turned them into a technology platform so that we could have NPs deliver all of those protocols. And at the same time, we were getting our virtual practice licensed throughout the country in different states. So we went out to different states, we got our practice license, we got insurance contracts, and we developed the protocols. So by the time we launched, we could have insurance coverage. We could make sure that for the first 15 symptoms, we were able to have really elaborate protocols for all of them. And now we're building out more over time, but that was really how we got started. And now we're really tailoring the protocols on what women are asking us. Quite honestly, the next one is sexual health. Like, that is a really big question we get all the time. So the next big protocol that we're releasing is one on sexual health, which includes desire and painful sex and lack of libido and all that stuff that also happens during this age category. And then we're going to do bones, because we're getting a lot of questions about bones, osteopenia, osteoporosis. What can you do to prevent those things? So we're basically going down the list and tackling these different protocols, but we have a system that we can do that. And we go out to experts to help write those. And then they train the nurse practitioners and they deliver them. So that's really what we've built. And it's all done on this virtual platform. So it's all done via telehealth visits, and those telehealth visits are covered by insurance.
Well, I love that you took a holistic approach to this and looked at the woman who could benefit from this and the woman that would be harmed by benefiting from this. Because let's be honest, the healthcare system overall hasn't always focused on women only and what the impacts are to women. So I love that is just core to the DNA. And then the other thing that always, I appreciated was the holistic health perspective that you just mentioned. It's osteoporosis, it's brain health, it's heart health. These are like very important things that we often don't think of when we think of the most common symptoms that you elicited. And yet I see this as I go and talk to you and talk to other women, they finally feel seen for the first time and recognized and not overlooked, like this is just in your head. And so timely, so well needed. And I love that it's covered by insurance when it can be. And I think that's just so critical because it's core to a woman's health going forward. So I think you've nailed so many particular aspects about this. And clearly, like menopause awareness and solutions are on the rise. You're seeing more articles about it, thanks in no small part to your efforts. What sets Midi apart from all the other solutions that are out there?
So we really are the only care company, quite honestly, at this point. We are not a product company. We're not trying to sell you hormones. We're not trying to get you to buy a skin cream for us. We are a care company, and our expertise is that we have the best high quality care for women. And that's what we care about. That's what we're going to continue to do. And I think that is the differentiator from pretty much all the other companies out there right now.
I'm going to come back to that holistic care perspective because I think it has been missing in the ecosystem. But I do want to just kind of keep going forward and saying I realize that these are still early days for Midi and for you, and you have big vision. But how are you currently measuring success, and what are some of the metrics that you're focused on?
So, we're growing really fast, which is fun and brings its own interesting challenges. But what we really care about, obviously, is women feeling better, right? That is our number one success. If you don't leave our visits feeling like you have a plan in place to get better and the next steps that are required to get there, then we have failed. You may or may not leave your first visit with a prescription. About 80% of the people do leave with a prescription. 20% of them might need to get a blood test or a mammogram or something else before they can get a prescription. Or they might leave actually with a supplement that would be appropriate for them and an action plan to feel better. But that is our number one priority, is to make women feel better. And then if we do it right, you're going to trust us. So you're going to come back for additional symptoms as they arise, because it's not a one size fit all and it's not a one shot fits all. Some of us have lived through this past Silicon Valley week and have a lot of anxiety. And that people are calling because of that, because their cortisol levels are really high and they're having a hard time relaxing, or there are things we can help you with that. So our goal is to be your care provider for the non-in-person care that you need and not urgent care. But for things that women are going through during this life period, if we do our job right, you'll want to come back to us for other issues, and we can be your partner for a long period of time. And that's really how we are structuring ourselves.
I think that's so helpful. Again, it comes back to being seen and being helpful, right? So if you're helping women, they're going to come back time and time and time again. And you also mentioned mammograms and other things that you can refer people to, right? Because I know that you're doing a lot of this via telehealth, but those are still important parts of the care regime that a woman should be having. So can you just speak a little bit to that?
Yeah. So actually what's exciting about our model is that we're partnering with healthcare organizations around the country to basically be their virtual menopause partner. And then we send women to those systems to get all of the in-person care that they need. So it's actually, from a mission perspective, it's super exciting. So we're starting with LifePoint. They're a rural healthcare system with 64 hospitals around the country. And we started with them in Alabama, and the goal is to roll out into other states with them. But we're also working with a number of very large hospital systems in Texas and California, in New York, and basically we'll have partnerships in these different places. So if you need to get in urgently, we can get you in for an in-person endometrial biopsy or whatever it is that you need. And then we can take care of the virtual layer. So we are a virtual company, but we'll have in-person partnerships when someone needs to have, that in-person care.
Perfect. And can you talk a little bit about coverage? Because you mentioned several states there. Are you available in all 50 states right now? What does the rollout look like?
Yes, we're not available in all 50 states. We're available in about 12 states right now, and we're going as fast as we can to get others. It really is about the licensing and the contracting. We only open in a state when we have 2 insurance contracts in that state. So honestly, we tried in one state, we opened with only 1 contract, and it didn't work as well. We really need to have 2 contracts in order to launch. We don't have to have all of them, but we found that 2 is the right number. So once we have 2 contracts, we open in a state, and then we still diligently are working to get the other contracts. It just takes time. So our goal is to have a very large part of the insured population by the end of 2023 in 30 states. That's our goal. We'll see if we get there, but that is our goal. And that would cover 75% of the population.
Well, I really like how thoughtful and methodical you are being about how to, bring the right service backed by science to market in the most effective way. I mean, that's going to be the secret to success. And one of the reasons why we were so excited about your approach to the market versus others. And just, is there any key learnings as you've gone through this process that you would like to share, or, epiphanies that you've had along the way?
Healthcare is hard. When you start, you think, oh, you'd like to tell people how much their visit's going to cost. You would love to tell people how much their visit was going to cost, but you don't know. And, the reality is, just like when you don't know when you go to your regular doctor, you know what your copay is, so you know that. But if you have a high deductible health plan, the truth is we don't know what the insurance company is going to cover, and we don't know how much of it you're going to have to pay for. That's really frustrating. And we are participating in the healthcare economy, like it or not. So we would love to be able to give people all this information before their visit. And it's frustrating to us that we can't do that. We're also working in a regulated industry that has a huge number of restrictions around marketing and how you can market to end users. So, healthcare is different. It is a very regulated industry, and it has a lot of very odd rules that you have to learn and operate in. And so that's part of our challenge, is learning how to do all of that and to do it well. And for people who are used to consumer marketing, for example, you've got to be kidding. You can't put a cookie on this page. Like, you can't put a cookie on that page. Or, there's all these rules that you're kind of surprised when you run it up against them the first time, and then you start to work with them.
I think healthcare, for all the reasons that you elicited, is so, can be daunting, but is also why we need new innovators to come in and to address unmet needs and work within the system, but also augment the system, so critically important to success. And I think that you have amassed a team of medical experts, tech experts to help assist with that. And so I think that's just an incredible, the team is part of what attracted us. Probably how anxious we were at Operator Collective, both Mal and Yan and myself, to find a solution in this space. We looked at every solution in this space for 4 years and just couldn't find the one that we thought was the horse that we would bet on because it was going to be successful. Who would really crack the code, both from the efficacy of the care to the quality of the team to how, the end user woman would access this. And so we think you've got the unique mix of things that made us so excited to invest in particular in you. But, at the same time, this is a women's health issue, and, you're operating in a largely male-dominated venture capital ecosystem. So has it been difficult to find funding?
We're super fortunate. I have to say the funding process has been a lot less painful than you would have. I was worried it would be painful, and instead we've been really fortunate. We found some really great investors who are supportive of us, who understand what we're doing. I tell people, you guys, we ended up working with you. We had a number of options and term sheets, and we were really far along in the process. And I just remember vividly when I got on the call with you and Malin, and I was like, oh my God, these people have to be in my company. They understand what we're doing. They're enthusiastic. They can help me. It was, I just remember that call really vividly, and how helpful you guys were, because you understood what we were trying to do in the space and the opportunities. So, I was very excited after I got on the call, and I called the rest of my team, these guys have to invest with us. But We have been really fortunate. We have a really experienced team, and I have really phenomenal doctors that I'm working with us, and salespeople and marketing people. And I think that's helped a lot in the fundraising. That I think we're the only menopause company of all the women in menopause. We really understand what we're doing, and we understand why we're doing it. And I think that has helped a lot in the fundraising.
Well, I know that like from the moment we met you, we just got increased conviction all along, and we're so excited to have this partnership with you and to lend the expertise and support that we can as you continue on this mission to grow. And then I remember the first time that you and I met was at an event you were hosting, and I came back and I was super excited. And this is circling back to something we had discussed earlier, which was not only were you addressing the perimenopause and the menopause space, which I had been on my own personal 4-year hunt, to solve for myself, but I came back and I said, this is a women's health platform. This is bigger than menopause. And that excited me as much. Menopause is a huge opportunity in and of itself, overlooked, underinvested, but women's health is a bigger issue. So I wondered if you could, share a little bit more about your bigger vision for Midi.
So, part of what you learn is while you're doing things, you learn what your population is, right? And what we have found is that 40% of the women who are coming to us have not had a doctor's visit in 4 to 10 years. They don't have any place to go. And so their OBGYN has probably stopped taking care of them, and they don't have a GP that they trust. They might have a place they go for urgent care, but no one is making sure that they get preventive care. No one is checking that they're getting their pap smears or their colonoscopies or their mammograms. No one is checking their blood levels to see if they have high cholesterol. They really are not getting taken care of. And so we have discovered that we are much broader than we even originally thought, because women are coming to us for so many different issues. And we have to then train our nurse practitioners to take care of all those issues, right? So it is a training issue for us, making sure that we have all the right protocols and we have all the right training for these NPs, because they're pretty surprised every time someone comes, what issues they might come. One thing we learned in our original thing is we have a questionnaire that you fill out and you say, here are my issues. And then all sorts of people come and they don't want to discuss any of the issues on the questionnaire, right? They have 5 other things they want to talk about. So women's health is underserved. It just is. Like, people who are specialists in women's health is it's a small population. And it is a combination of general primary care and specialty care. And so it's that interaction that is the sweet spot, the secret to success for us, or the sweet spot for us, of things that are not required for in-person, they're not urgent, but all those other things that are happening in our bodies, people need a place to go and get expertise. And that's really where we're focused.
Those statistics are just shocking. I have to say, every time I talk to you, you share another statistic that just, basically it stuns me in terms of the lack of support that we're getting for women and older women, aging women. But then I'm so glad that you're working on it and focusing on it and seeing like there's just an opportunity. And I know the commitment of you and your team, unstoppable, to make forward progress. So I guess, this is amazing. I guess my final closing question for you would be, this is a big undertaking. You're in a startup world. We're fresh off of, a banking issue in Silicon Valley and the tech ecosystem writ large. But, what is it that keeps you up at night in terms of the success of your initiative and how to keep moving forward?
Yeah, so this is a big operations challenge. And so what we're finding is the marketing is working really well. Women are coming to us. We have the insurance contracts. We know how to do all of that. Making sure that we have an amazing Midi University, as we call it, to train the nurse practitioners, make sure they're doing a good job, supervising them, giving them support. That is a challenge. And it's not something that companies have really done well before. Other companies have outsourced their medical teams. So if you look at the other companies that are doing something like virtual companies, no one else is doing what we're doing. They're not training their NPs. They're not monitoring. They're not mentoring. They're like part-time people who kind of pop in and out and read a chart and leave, right? It's very different than what we're trying to do. So we're going to create an army of really high quality nurse practitioners who are trained in this space. And we need to make sure that we treat them great and that we give them career paths and we enable them to make this into a great work environment. So I'm spending a lot of time thinking about that. It is different than a plain tech company. So the challenges that we face with that are different. And so I'm spending a lot of time thinking about how we make this into a great work environment for them so that they want to stay, because we are putting a huge investment in them. We want them to stay with us and we want it to be a rewarding experience for them. So that's what I spend a lot of time thinking about.
And that university aspect is so critical. I recall that one of the stats that was shared early on in our due diligence process with you was that the average OBGYN professional receives maybe 30 minutes of training on menopause.
Right.
Which is astounding to me that there's so little known about just the menopause category. And so when you say, you are creating a university, it's out of necessity to really go and make sure that there is, the information that is out there in smaller circles is now out there in larger circles. So nobody should be afraid or concerned that this isn't well-known science. This is actual great science. It's just been kept in the corner and not a light shine on it. And you're kind of pulling it out and saying, okay, it's time to train an army of people to help 51% of the population.
And actually, just Pam, it's an interdisciplinary thing, right? Like the endocrinologists are not talking to the OBGYNs who are not talking to the mental health people. So so everyone is very siloed, right? So you have to basically get them all to come together and agree on things. So that's one of the challenges, that women's health has been very siloed. You've had different people of different expertise, but there's not like a category of women's health experts. So that's what we're training. And we're going to, that's our goal, is to be the women's health expert platform. And that's our promise to our users, is that we're going to give you the best high quality care.
Well, I love that. Clearly, as a working mother, wife, I've pulled in 1,000 different directions. So having a place that I can have confidence in, that is going to be looking out for me, is a weight off of my shoulders, and frankly, a huge asset to my family, right? Because I need to be healthy, and you talked about preventative medicine. So I am so excited that you are on this journey, that you are focused on doing this, and can't wait to see how Midi continues to grow and expand from here.
Thank you. It's great to see you.
Thank you so much.